What up, fam? Level 18 on my Black Falcon army. And since the beginning of this whole thing, I've been wanting to put these guys together. Just at the time of when I started, it wasn't really easy to do. So, Vikings and Queen. Now, how do I add Vikings to my army, aside from them just being purely auxiliary and or conscripts? So I thought the best way to do this was to have a Viking queen. What else does my wife say? The king is the head, the queen is the neck, and she can move him wherever she wishes. So true. I can't do anything. So with the Viking crown hairpiece that comes in the Viking ship, I figured this will be a great hairpiece for the queen of my army. I mean, I just want an excuse to add Vikings. So for a limited time on Lego Bricks and Pieces, just like how the Black Falcons are, the Vikings were available, and I missed out the first run through them, and they were finally back on for a second time. And I already knew that these Vikings won't be uniform already as it is, so I just got random numbers for each torso and leg, knowing that I'm just gonna mix them all together. The only difference here, though, is that I had to figure out the shield situation. And with already trying to accumulate the CMF Viking, which right now goes for about $25 to $30 now on Bricklink with the accessories, I already knew that the shield situation might be hard. So in the actual Viking Castle sub-theme, they did already have these dishes with Viking shield printing on them. And luckily for me, the blue and white one was kind of available on Bricklink. So I decided to get a bunch of those shields, as well as the burgundy red gold version. You know, it's kind of like my motorcycle club colors anyways, and add those for shields for my Vikings. The only problem is that I don't know how these dishes would attach to the hands of these minifigures. So I got a bunch of these connector pieces, and it worked well as a handle. They aren't as strong as I would want them to be, but they do the job. And like the rest of my army, assembling these Vikings together was really fun, since I didn't want to make them uniform to each other, having different torsos and different legs, carrying different weapons with different heads, because I've decided to buy a bunch of flesh-toed minifigure heads on Bricklink, because Bricks and Pieces hardly had any. So to change up the variety of how they're standing, what they're carrying, what they look like, was not quick, but it was actually fun to do. Now, the problem that I had in the beginning while I was assembling these Vikings together was that some of the heads, in fact most of the heads, had dual faces. So the current Viking helm doesn't cover the back of the head. So it just looked weird. So I had to go on Brick Warriors and order the Viking helmet that they use. I don't know if Vikings in real life used horns for their helmets. Either or, I just didn't get the horns. But also a lot of them aren't wearing any helmets and just rocking their hairpiece. Now what really inspired a lot of this, aside from Ornate Viking or MKM Bricks, shout out to Michael, was my love for the show Vikings, as well as the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've played every single one, but the Viking version is by far my favorite one of the entire franchise. It kind of got me to watch the show Vikings. And well, aside from the Vikings Valhalla spinoff, which I'm not really a fan of right now, the original Viking show I loved. So by having the inspiration of watching all these Vikings go to battle, I kind of want to do that in Lego too. So right now I have two different Viking warbands, each rocking two different colored shields, the blue and white and the burgundy and gold. But now that my queen is in place, next to my king, she needs her own guard. So I added the most recent / most expensive Viking as a guard for the queen. And as you can see, I have them both split up, where the king has his own guard of knights, as well as the queen has her own guard of Vikings. And yes, if you've been paying attention, I'm only getting one of this falcon or knight. I figured just make her a special character and I don't have to fill up a bunch of bags and fight other people for that. Anyways, wherever the king goes, his knights go. Wherever the queen goes, her Vikings go. And yes, the queen and her captain of the guard are rocking the Black Falcon torsos and legs. But since I was already shopping for helmets on Brick Warriors, I also got a bunch of these axes. I feel like just throwing Viking axes throughout the horde would do a lot than just having spears and swords, because Vikings have axes, right? Oh, there's just something about an axe. You know, just a sword's cool and all, but an axe. Now, you can't have Vikings without long ships, and I already had the Viking ship, so I decided to get two more. I mean, that's easy enough. I think I need a navy anyways, and Vikings were good coming from the sea. So I feel like these three Viking ships would do well with actually housing all of the Vikings that I have in my army. You can fit literally all of them in there, I think. I'm not going to move them in there, but it looks like you fit them all in there. But since the Viking ship came in red and I kind of needed to align to the Black Falcons, I wanted to change the red to navy blue. That wasn't really difficult to do. I just had to go on Bricklink and order the pieces needed and replace everything that was red. The shields also needed to be changed out. I used both what already existed in the set as well as new navy tile. But after looking at this set from afar, the navy blue does blend too much with the side of the ship, and I kind of regretted it at first, but it did remind me of the OG Lego castle set, the Sea Serpent boat, with this color scheme. So I'm content with it. And by having 3 of them, I think my army now has a navy. And with the ferocity of Vikings added to my army, which is already worldly enough as it is, I feel bad for anyone that wants to contend with this. And since you can see them, my King's Guard all rocking the new Black Falcon horse barding from the Lion Knight's castle, which I should have waited because as of right now, recording this video, you can buy both of these horse barding for both factions on Lego Bricks and Pieces instead of having to pay the really expensive price point on Bricklink. So stay tuned on that one.